everybody. As you probably know, it's me, Theredmagekro, and welcome to the high rank portion of Monster Hunter Rise. Yes, this isn't going to be part 2 of the low ranking, but that's because the low ranking is going to be very heavily edited. And honestly, I don't even know if people even remotely like what I did with the video. So, until I know that gets, more likes, more views, comments that tell me, hey, we like this, we'd like to see another one of it, I don't think I want to work on something that took roughly 5 days or so on, something that people aren't even going to like. And that's kind of where I am at the moment. Right now, we're just kind of doing the egg, not the egg quest, but like the Dongo quests, so that we can unlock better Dongo. Heck, we're trying to work our way up to Master Rank, and that's where the rules kind of come into play, right? So this is still a part of the hammer run, where I play nothing but the hammer. Kunai are exempt from, being used. We got a big Kulu and a little Kulu, which was actually kind of cool. But I digress. We are only going to have one major rampage in the video, and that's of course with Ibushi, seeing as how he is a, monster that we technically have to fight here in the game. Yes. But everything in Rampage is fair game, so long as it's Rampage only items. Jazz. In this one, in high rank, I'm allowed to capture, unlike in low rank where I had to kill. And I didn't do it right off the bat because I wanted to see whether or not I could do it. But basically, we are allowed to work with people. And the reason for it is because the main point of this high rank portion is to get to master rank as fast as we can, aka Sunbreak. And so we're just kind of here, kind of to chill, kind of give a post commentary, in which I'm going to say it, Kulu is the ugliest monster from World, I feel. We have a lot of good monsters from World, I will say, Namiel, freaking, like I just went over this like the other day. Paolumu doesn't look too bad, still kind of ugly in a sense. But there are definitely a couple more. Valhazak for starters. But, there are every other monster, maybe excluding like maybe one or two more. You can tell me in the comment section, what you guys relatively think. Who the ugliest monster in World was, or like who was the best monster. I look forward to seeing those, I really do. But for me, Kulu is by far the ugliest. Just by far. I think that he's also like, I get what they were going for, but I also feel like he did not need to be added, which is kind of sad. There are definitely people who love Kulu out there. I'm just personally not one of them. And if you like Kulu, hey, you know what? That's cool. Kulu needs the love. Thing is how I'm not going to be the one giving it to him. But, all in all, what can I say? It's weird because, I eventually learned that Kulu and Aknasam kind of have the same colorations too. The main difference is that Aknasam is very stylized, very nice to look at, while Kulu is just Kulu. He's just a bird raptor jazz with shenanigans that, are very, very easy to dodge. I say easy to dodge, you're gonna get hit every now and again by them. Don't get me wrong. But altogether, like, it's not like Kulu-ya-ku was made to be like this really impressive monster that, you know, is supposed to, you know, be amazing or cool. I understand he's supposed to, like, not be as, like, nice. But I do also feel that, like, you know, there are... that the monsters should look at least decently, you know, good. Right? Like, I say this, and yet I play Freedom Unite, right? And in that game, we have Gendrome, Velocidrome, and Iodrome, and they're all just, like, very smaller, wimpier versions of Kulu, I'm going to say. I still feel like they look nice. They're very colorful and pretty, and, you know, jazz. Is that maybe Gendrome? I will say he is kind of sandy looking, like he's very yellowy. I like yellow, but that's definitely not one that I say looks the best. Either way, well, there are definitely others out there that aren't as good, you know, aren't as good looking as Kulu, because after all, you know, Kulu is still a new monster, so Kulu's going to have the new monster treatment over, like, Velocidrome, Gendrome, and Iodrome, you know, monsters who came out most likely since the very first Monster Hunter. You know, they're very lanky, very weird to look at. And as a matter of fact, I think that, freaking, what's this boy's name? I love this boy. I think he's, like, amazing. Woggy, the Great Woggy. I love me the Great Woggy. I don't know why. I love the Great Woggy. I think he's super cute. I think he's just super cute. And I think that he's just overall a better Iodrome. In my honest opinion. You know? God, like, peak design there, I will say. Mwah, beautiful. I love him. But now, this is kind of like the portion where I'm kind of gathering stuff because I do need to upgrade some jazz to high rank. And right now, I'm looking for this mineral thing that says that it's in this general area, but it's legitimately not here. I get a little confused, and I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to grab all the other things that are kind of around here. Which, you know, I mean, I'm still kind of looking. But, you know, not too much. And then I find this. I didn't even know this was here. And lo and behold, there's a mining spot up here. Cool. But, yeah, it's... frick. This map is also really nice. I don't like the fact that, like, you know, if it is covered in ice, you can't run up it. It makes sense. I get it. It makes sense, but... It's so lame. But I do love that there's this little fishing area that's not so much on the map. I come here because, if my memory serves me correct, there is supposed to be a fish here that you are supposed to, like, fish for like, a certain armor set. And I believe that I'm right. It's like spear tuna or something. But none of them spawned. So I had to get those later. And that was to get the bike set, which, you know, is a really decent set for the time. And honestly, like, at this point, I should not have been grinding, like, at all. If I didn't do any of the grinding that I did, I would have been way more prepared for, you know, Sunbreak's release and the like. But instead, I did eventually choose to grind so that I could get, you know, better prepared and hopefully, you know, beat the end game faster, which, can't really say whether or not that would have actually have happened. Like, I do, and like, look, this is another thing, right? Like, the Great Isuchi. This is basically the better Velocidrome, I will say. Right? The Velocidrome, as far as I know, doesn't have anything particularly, like, you know, appealing about it. It's just a normal raptor, while Iodrome and Gendrome have paralysis as well as poison, respectively. The Great Azuchi is just far better, you know, just purely because, you know, it has its own pack. It's based off of a freaking Tatsu Itachi, or is it Itachi Tatsu? It's one of those ways to say it. It's basically like a little weasel yokai that in tornado, like little like sand dunes would come and like slash at people and whatnot. At least that's what their you know, folklore was all about. But it just turned out that, like, you know, people traveling, their skin, you know, gets dried up. When the skin is dried up, it's more subjectable to, like, getting cut by rocks, I guess. Totally botched that wyvern ride too, which, oh man, I really, I totally wasn't paying attention. But either way, it pulls from a really cool, like, you know, folklore, which is nice. Like, you know, Velocidrome is just a Velociraptor, which is also nice. You know, I would like to see a little bit more dinosaurs in this game. Actually, how many dinosaurs do we have right now? Like, they did add, like, one of my favorite monsters from World, Anjanath. Mwah! Beautiful peak design. We need more. We need more dinosaur-esque designs. There's also one of the cooler ones from World, I will say. Would you say that Joe is kind of also a T-Rex? He kind of fits the T-Rex a little bit, right? Like, big, lumbering body, small hands and whatnot. I guess he could be kind of a T-Rex. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. So, that's an interesting topic, I feel. I mean, you know, he doesn't look like a, you know... I don't think that there's, like, any dinosaur that looks remotely like a Devil Joe. Could be. More or less one that is T-Rexified, but hey. Whatever floats your boat. And then, you know, one of my favorite monsters from Rise, I will say, is Tetranadon. They combine two things with this fool, right? One, he's a Kappa. Or he's based off of a Kappa, which is lovely. Two, sumo wrestling, which is nice. I like it when they get really creative with the monsters, right? Like, and there are definitely, like, monsters that I really want to see come back. And I hope that in Sunbreak, you know, they do bring back, like, Yamasukami. And, oh, don't even get me started on the frontier monsters that they could be adding. I want to see that freaking other crab dude. He's a really cool one. Or, like, even, like, the freaking Emperor Dragon. Oh, he would be tight as well. But overall, for Rise, I want to see more along the lines of, like, monsters that kind of complement, you know, the mechanics and style of Rise, right? Like, Tetranadon, cool design as a monster. However, not so much, you know, cool as someone like Almudron. Almudron is basically like the one character, which we'll see later, where I feel like he is the best fit for this game. Won't talk about him now because we're going to see him later, though. I will say that, like, the one thing that I do not like about Tetranadon is just that, you know, he has to, like, eat the rocks and whatnot to, like, get his belly big, you know? It's not my favorite. Like, you know, Zamtrios? Like, Zamtrios was, like, kind of cool, you know? Which I hope we get Zamtrios, too. I hope that there's a lot of monsters that are in Sunbreak that I have yet to see. I've been trying to keep myself nice and pure. Nice and pure. When it comes down to it. So, you know, I want to get, like, all my good reactions and the like. But I feel like I already know, like, a good chunk of the cast now, so I don't think that, like, too much is going to surprise me, except for maybe, like, a couple new moves, which I look forward to. It's like, that's the thing with low rank to high rank to master rank, right? Like, every monster get new moves as you go up in rank. It's cool. I love it. Like, we'll get to it, but, our big bear dude, freaking always forget monsters' names. He's definitely one of my favorites. You know, the ice bear dude. God, I love him. But he's like one of the ones where you can kind of see that, you know, actually happening. We'll get to that when we see it. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to, like, the new moves they gave, old monsters that are returning. I'm looking forward to see, like, whether or not, Frontier's version of Gormagala kind of, like, comes into play. Because, like, they gave, like, a freaking amazing form to Gormagala, if I remember correctly, which I am really hoping they do. It's so good! Oh, man, so much I'm looking forward to, and yet I'm kind of stuck here, right, at doing this. I already did Dynamo, and I can't wait to, you know, get started on, like, the rest. Oh, I'm looking so much to the game. I've always loved Monster Hunter. And it's always been, like, you know, a couple of games that I've never actively, like, beaten, right? Like, Freedom Unite. I never beat Freedom Unite. I got fairly far. The last monster I remember was the giant, you know, tall-legged crab dude. He was the farthest I got in that game. And that was primarily because, for whatever reason, I just could not beat him with the light bowgun. And so I had to, you know, spend a lot of time working on, you know, freaking getting new weapons in order to try to beat him. They said dual blades and longsword was really good, but by the time that was going on, third ultimate or portable or one of the two was coming out. And so by that time I had dropped Freedom Unite for you know, I think it was third ultimate. I got into, like, the Monster Hunter series very, very late, and honestly, like, it's really sad that I did. But still, I loved Freedom Unite. I loved every single thing about it. It was always a fun game. Either way, if you guys are interested, I wouldn't mind actually, like, going back and doing a, you know, Freedom Unite. Like, we could definitely, like, you know, play the game and whatnot. I would totally be down for that. I love myself some Freedom Unite. I really love the older games, honestly. Like, I thought that, like, the whole swimming shenanigans was good, but then again, like, I wasn't playing, like, heavy bowgun, light bowgun, bow. Which, I can totally understand, like, that's where, like, water shenanigans actually, like, kind of made that game a little bit more difficult. That's third, not, you know, Freedom Unite. Just saying, for those who probably don't know. Kind of swapped somewhere in there. And, you know, also, Tetranadon is very tanky. And this is kind of where I want to say that I realized that, you know, these fights were taking way too long and that I might have needed help. But it also could have been, like, the point where I was like, how the frick do I even invite people to begin with? Because honestly, I didn't know. I don't normally invite people other than, you know, my sister's, you know, boyfriend to the game, or, like, you know, when I was playing World, it was a little bit more, you know, my friend group and whatnot. But, yeah, no, I just didn't know, but, like, right here, I could tell this was taking way too long. Much too long. seriously, he's a thick boy. Like, dang, boy, that's a thick boy right there. Very, very thick turtle thing. Ugh. Just takes so much damage in a beating. Like, seriously. How can one take this much of a... I mean, it's a giant turtle. Gappa. Hello? Thing? Either way, he's built to tank damage. Shouldn't be too impressed by that, I don't think. But, yeah. Oh boy, man. It's also very, like, am I the only one who finds it a little bit weird that there's, like, this nice little watery area in the volcano section? Not saying that there can't be any water near a volcano, but, like, I don't know. I think it's, like, a little bit weird. And again, maybe not. For all I know, maybe it's like an island or something. Either way, now we're at Aknasam. I love me some Aknasam. Big fire parasol bird that's also based off of you. I think like just about every single monster from Rise is based off of a yokai. At least from initial release. Not so sure about Sunbreak though. I actually have to look that up thinking about it. Like, what are they, based off of? The Three Lords and Malzeno, whatever the frick his name is, They have to be based off of something. I would assume that they're based off of something. And I honestly hope that you enjoyed Aknasam's portion in the low rank quest, because I actually like that one a lot. Go ahead and watch it if you haven't already. Basically, all the noises and all that different type of jazz. Definitely not my favorite from the low ranking ones. That one probably goes to Royal Ludroth. I think that one was done perfection. Now, it's time to take out the stupid bird. Honestly, who would win? Like in a legitimate battle? Aknasam or the Great Azuchi? I would think that the Great Azuchi, but Aknasam has a lot of AoE sweeping moves. Could probably take out all of the Great Azuchi's minions. I think. Take out the boss, take out the, minions. All of that different type of jazz. Huh. Oh, and definitely using a poison bomb on these so I can get some stomachs, I think. Quality stomachs? Just something along those lines. And yet again, the smaller monsters just cannot let me, live in peace. But as you can also see, the little monsters are also taking a frick ton of damage. And now we're at Lagambi, which, honestly, I don't know how I feel about Lagambi. I like the fact that Lagambi is included. A giant bear rabbit isn't technically too bad. The design could be better, I feel. But for what it is, I do like Lagambi. Because, I can only do so much if the entire cast is nothing but freaking dragons. Which was, my main problem with World. Everything was very dragon-esque. There wasn't, a single monster in that game that was not, either reptilian or dragon-esque. Except maybe Anjanath, who's more of a T-Rex, but still kind of has, draconic features. Not so sure about that. However, like, you know, I think that the only, like, monster that really shook it up was not even, like, from the, you know, developers themselves. Unless The Witcher is a part of Capcom, which I could totally see being the case, but I don't think that The Witcher is a part of Capcom. I don't think. Either way, the Great Leshen was the only thing that wasn't a very dragon-like monster in the game. Which is why I like this one so much better. We got at least Lagambi and Rajang. Oh, we did get Rajang later in World, though. Like, later in Iceborne. But that was way later. Either way, we got Lagambi, we got Azuros, we got Rajang in this game, we got Aknasam, which is a bird, wyvern-like thing. The Great Azuchi isn't technically a dragon-esque wyvern. You know, we got a lot of things in this game that weren't very dragon-esque, and that's why I like... That's why the world isn't necessarily, like, my favorite. It's not because the game is bad or anything, it's just that the variety of the monsters just are... It's very similar, like, there wasn't too much variety to it. And, you know, Monster Hunter was always really about, you know, some, you know, diversity to it. I say that, and yeah, you know, like, Freedom Unite, we had the crabs, we had, the drones, Bull Drome, Iodrome, Velocidrome, jazz, you know, just... like, jazz sprinkled here and there. But it wasn't just like, you know, dragon after dragon. You know, it wasn't just dragging on. Like, hell, I don't know how I feel about Kazoo being, like, you know, draconic. What would you call Kazoo? Because, yeah, it definitely is draconic in nature, looking at it. But, like, there's just so many things going on with Kazoo that, like, I just don't know. I also think that this is the first time that we actually, successfully get people to join in on the fight. There he is. So, yeah, we finally have people in the fight now, which... Kazoo is not one of those ones where you actively want, 2 long swords to fight against. And not have, you know, flinch free. I'm just saying. This fight was legitimate hell from what it felt. Ugh. But yeah, it's just that, like, Kazoo just, like, you know, it doesn't have scales, it has flabby hide. I don't know exactly how I feel about Kazoo being draconic. The wings are very draconic, very wyvern-esque. Which, in sense, I guess is draconic? Like, But either way, like, it's just weird. Like, I want to think of Kazoo as being kind of draconic, but the flabby hide is kind of throwing me off. I would assume that, like, dragons don't always have to have scales, but, like, I don't know. I kind of just want to put Kazoo as its own separate case. But that's just me. But again, you guys can always chime down whatever it is that I'm talking about in the comments down below. How do you feel about Kazoo? Do you think Kazoo is draconic? Do you think that it's not draconic? Do you think that, like, maybe it should be its own thing? Go ahead. Comments are free. And see, like, that person right there, they kind of messed up a little. Because what they should have done was bounced into the wall, bounced into another wall, and then bounced it into Tetranadon, right? The reason you want to do that is so that you can deal some damage to Kazoo, but then, like, you can take control of the Tetranadon to fight the Kazoo. Very nice little, you know, tech in the game. to relatively learn if you want to do like the most amount of damage to a monster. At least that's how I feel. I could very well be wrong, and the situation might not even like call for it. Who knows, you know? You play the game exactly how you want. But man, like, who was like the very... no, I think Yin Kut was like your very first monster in Freedom Unite, right? Like, sure, you had the drones, like the Cephalodrome, the freaking Iodrome and all that. But like, I think the Yin Kut was technically like your first real boss fight. And Kazoo just kind of came like somewhere after. Which, Kazoo doesn't yell half as much as he does in that game, I feel. He still roars like quite often, much more than like other monsters, but still, like, just like hearing him roar 5-6 times in a row, lovely. Mwah. I think like the person who puts this like into like the best perspective is I think that it's Monster Hunter's Generation with a Side of Salt. I think that it's made by Scott Falco, maybe. He's very good at what he does. And honestly, like, his content's like way better than mine. You know, if you don't know him, I do suggest you check him out. Really good jazz there. But now we're at Juratotus, the monster who didn't need to exist. Like, seriously, oh my lord. Like, I don't know. To me, like, he's just another Plesioth ripoff, in my personal opinion. You know, like, when I think of the, you know, Pleistocene, you know, type jazz that, like, you know, Levisioth and Juratotus are based off of, I think of, you know, freaking Plesioth. You know, yeah. And none of them can even compare to the legacy that is Plesioth. And this is where, like, I really wished that, like, I got all the camps ready. I did not have all the camps ready, so I had to do, like, a very big walk. And I even found, like, an area that, like, I didn't even know was here. As another person faints. You should not be... Like, honestly, like, you should not be fainting to a Juratotus. But I also fainted to a Juratotus. But then again, I'm playing Hammer. Yes, anything that goes wrong, it's probably because of the Hammer. I want to say it's probably because of the Hammer. After all, like... Well, like, while I am definitely, you can probably tell, used to the Hammer by now, you know, there are still a couple of fights that legitimately, like, threw me off, or, like, I felt were just supremely bad matchups. Sometimes both. You know what? Yeah, sometimes there were, like, times where I just felt like, get in the trap, Juratotus! Where I felt like, you know, being a Hammer user just freaking sucked. It just freaking sucked. Like, and it's because the longsword user that this isn't even, like, going down either. He's all the way over there, while everyone else is trying to get this fool in the trap. See, this is longsword users in a nutshell. They flinch you, and then they don't even notice, like, that you're doing the jazz. And so now we're doing this quest right here, so that I could get the very last Hammer switch skill that I need in order to basically, like, use Hammer effectively. And I will say that I do like the other hammer one. I think it's actually really cool. I like it a lot. I try to use it a little too often. But, hey, so this one requires you to, you know, fight a Barrioth and a Puke. And I was like, you know what? No one's going to freaking join this because no one's going to want to unlock the hammer skills unless they're playing hammer. Unless you're like me and you just want to unlock all of them. And you know what? I was ready to accept my fate. I still accept my fate to this point. But I do know that the one monster that I should be afraid of is Barrioth. Barrioth is, to me, is one of those monsters that you should be afraid of. You should be afraid of. And the reason for it is primarily because though he is a low-ranking monster, he still has the potential to one-shot you. If you are not ready to fight up against a freaking Barrioth, he can one-shot you. And I learned that as early as Monster Hunter 3, where he was very first introduced. And there's a giant gorge there, mind you. I always forget that's there. I just never go over there. So I always tend to forget. And then now this happens. Yeah. We're just wailing on poor Barrioth. It's so sad. There is... Oh, and then, like, freaking the long... I think it was, like, the longsword user. I couldn't really tell. But, like, I was about to, like, freaking, like, do so much damage, but the longsword was just like, yeah! I was like, bro, I'm the hammer! I have to do this! I get the most amount of damage off of this. Though I can never really pull that off right, but that one was about to be like, mwah! Beautiful! Nope. Longsword user. I also couldn't remember. I also can't remember if this was the. No, there's gonna be one later where, you know, I basically show you guys some jazz. Like, it's not this one, but like it'll come up. It'll come up. Either way. Man, you know, I'm thinking about it, and 3 was very nice. I do like 3. I kind of miss 3. I kind of dig the underwater, like, missions that 3 had. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. And it also gave, you know, no pun intended, it also gave rise to, like, one of the most beloved monsters in Monster Hunter, you know? Which was Lagambi. And it's just really sad that Lagambi just has all of these problems when, you know, they're trying to put it into, like, these newer games. Like, if my memory serves me correct, they wanted to put it into World, but they couldn't do that because of, you know, its belly being on the ground. Same thing with this one. They can't do it because its belly is on the ground far too long. And basically, you know, it kind of meshes with the mesh. And it just doesn't really make... I mean, I guess they could always raise its leggage to be kind of like Royal Ludroth here, which, you know, I don't know how I would feel about that, you know, because still has to, like, slither and slide, you know, all of its movesets and whatnot. But, like, Royal Ludroth is also one of those, like, monsters that I really appreciated from third as well. And I'm so glad it's in the game, because like it's not a dragon, it's a Leviathan. And you know, it has like the freaking, you know, sponges on its neck, the sponge-like material, and like that's what really sets it apart from like a lot of the other monsters. That, and it has a crown too, which is very nice as well. Not a difficult fight, but like it's still a monster that I find really, really pleasing to the eye. It always could just be me. I also feel like this is like the best one that I did for the low ranking. And then there's the move right there. Like you saw me like basically block a move that was coming in with like a circle. Yeah, I think that's like really fun. And I try to pull it off a little bit too often than I should. I feel like it's more of a move that's there, not a move to consistently be throwing out unless you're doing like, you know, your very big hammer combo. Either way, I think it's kind of funny how many monsters that are from, you know, third, but like one that I feel like should be in every game, right? The Kurapekawa. However the frick you say it. I'm saying it like one of the, you know, YouTubers that I remember watching a video of it for. If you know who it is, you know, bonus points. But like, I feel like the Kurapekawa should definitely be in like just about every single game. It just makes sense. And who knows, like I'm just waiting for the time where it comes back. I think it would make a very fine addition. And so now, I believe that this is just a regular Barrioth because we have to get it done. We have to hunt it individually. But still, I'm playing a little bit cautious. Just so that, like, I don't, like, drop below, like, a certain threshold. Like, look at that. He did more than half of my HP. If my armor wasn't upgraded, I would be, you know, down in the 25% maybe. Maybe even less than that. Like, that's how scary Barrioth is. And kinda, I want to say that he's in rage right now because of the steam coming out from his little, like, you know, pockets on his head. And I absolutely hate that the whole, oh, be careful move is linked to his shaking or him getting more muddied, and like I hate that. I think it's so stupid. Seriously, he does so much damage, which is why I basically fear him as much as I do. And yeah, trying to think, right? Like, we have like a bunch of like desert maps I'm thinking about, right? And the more I think about it, the more I just kind of come down to the same conclusion that there just is not a lot of, you know, sandy areas in the frickin' games when it comes down to the desert maps. And there you can see, like, the hitbox for that move is, like, completely huge. Like, my hammer doesn't even look like I should be hitting that. But, yeah, like, I think that with every single desert area, there's just about maybe, like, 2, if not 3, 4 at the most, areas on the map that are nothing but like, well, not nothing but sand, but are filled with like a decent amount of sand. And I find that a little bit weird. I understand that, like, you know, most deserts don't just have sand. I get that. But I think the desert maps need more sand. Like, you know, 2 cubic tons of sand. Like, over there. Just saying. But, no, that's just my personal opinion. Ah, dude, no, they could add the nibble snarf. Oh, I hate that monstrosity. Oh, please, don't ever let them add it. Oh, Lord, they should totally add it. They should totally add it. It would kind of work here. It only has, like, 2 areas that it can basically go to, but... No. Jazz! God forbid, man. Yeah, I'm even, like, I'm going through, like, all of the maps in my mind. Believe it or not. Like, I'm going through all the maps in my mind. And, like, the most I can count is, like, at most, like, there are just 3 maps or that have sand in them. Could always be wrong. But that's, you know, brain jazz. And so now I'm back, and then I decide I'm gonna do something stupid. After I basically check to see whether or not I can make certain outfits, right? In which, you know, I'm currently looking to get the Vike outfit. And see if, like, you know, I can make any better hammer at this point. Which I definitely can. And I should totally be getting that hammer. But then there's also the Narga hammer, which is also really good with crits. Not the endgame one, that's Tigrex, which we'll get to that. Either way, I need to upgrade because the armor is starting to get... Well, I mean, you can see it right here. It's not exactly where I want to be. But the next major power spike is Anjanath. But I also want to prepare and make sure that, like, one, my, you know, buddies are up to stuff. I want to make sure that, like, I got enough stuff to get the Vike if I'm going to use it. Which I was never going to use the Vike to begin with. The only reason you would ever use the Vike, you know, pieces, especially the chest piece, is if you have, like, all the decorations for it. Right? Like, you need the decorations in order to use the Vike stuff. At first I was gonna be like, oh yeah, I should totally fight Rathian, blah this, blah that, but then, like, I was like, no, let's go get stuff for the Vike. And boy, was that a mistake. Because I ate, and me being dumb was like, do I want to fight the queen or do I want to get the Vike stuff? What do I need for the Vike stuff, I wonder? Well, let me go ahead and pull it up on my phone and look it up, and I'm gonna stand here for a while because just to look dumb and be like, oh, well, I need it in the sandy area. Well, I might be going to the sandy area, but can I craft it now? No, I can't. Okay, well, that's a shame. Maybe if I go grab some of the pieces, maybe I can actually craft it. And so, here I go, and I'm like, oh, I gotta take it toward the plains! I just ate! I lost the eating buffs I had, which were really freaking good. And here I am in the deserty area to grab some of the quality fins from these fish here. It's also actually really sad, now that I think about it. This was the area that me and my sister's boyfriend, Willikers, basically decided to start talking about Monster Hunter. And, you know, I definitely talked to him and I asked him, hey, you know, who do you think mechanically is the best monster in the game? And his was more like, you know, mechanically like the best fight, like where you had to use like just about everything that you knew about the game. And so he said that, you know, probably it's going to be Apex and Ogre, if not one of the other Apex monsters that I totally forgot. But like I was like, well, you know, that is actually very interesting input, but not entirely what I was saying. And he was like, oh, well, what did you mean? And I was like, well, which monster do you know, feel like makes the most use out of the wire bug? He's like, huh, you know, I don't think I ever really thought about it. And I was like, well, for me, it's Almudron. You know, Almudron, you know, for one, makes good use out of like, you know, making terrain, making you go very much into the air. You know, there's like a lot of jazz that he does that you can basically use the wire bug for. Not the wire bug skills, but still, you know, enough of the wire bugs in order to actually like make it pretty nice. And he was like, you know what? Yeah, if you actually think about it, none of the other monsters really like do stuff like Almudron. And it would be nice if like some of the monsters actually did like, you know, manage the wire bugs in general. Like how cool would it be if like freaking Rajang, you know, sees you using the wire bug and immediately grabs it out of the air and throws you? Would be cool. He's smart enough to do that, as we could see in Iceborne, but for whatever reason, they just didn't want to implement it because it would take too much time. And I totally understand that, right? I totally understand that, you know, given enough time, they could do whatever the hell they want, but they don't have the time to do that. I totally get that, you know? Me kind of like wanting to like make my own games at some point, totally understand that you can't do everything that you want to do. There's just some stuff that is way too difficult. Now, I also understand that I'm never going to be able to get to that area that I want to be to make that game. Fireblight, Fireblight, Fireblight. Either way, you know, that's besides the point. I'm just going off on a tangent. It would be kind of nice if, like, monsters could react to the wire bug a little bit better. Whether it be good or bad, you know? Like, Almudron creates stuff, allows you to wire bug into his stuff. You know, you can, like, run on it and do all the new stuff that basically Rise has to offer. You know, of course, there are monsters that do very much jazz that you want to basically wire bug over or, like, use like a certain like skill to like jump over it or iframes through them and whatnot. You know, I get that there are like monsters that do that, but I feel like none of them do it better than Almudron does. You know, with his like little waves that he does, his like, you know, pedestals. Overall, beautiful. I should not have been talking about him the way that I have over Rathian. Sorry, Rathian. But Rathian and me go, you know, way back to Freedom Unite. Not longer than, like, just Monster Hunter, but, like, still, you know, like, we go back quite a ways. Like, I think I got into, like, Monster Hunter around, like, somewhere around college. Like, it was either, like, high school or college. I know that, like, I was into it for quite some time, but then, like, you know, other games caught my interest. I kind of came back to it, probably in college. And then around then, like, that was probably when Third was coming out. Either way. Bro, Crisis Core, Golden Era. Dude, PSP was such a nice freaking console handheld thing. I love me some PSP. Like, it was just overall a very good console, and I'm so sad there isn't another console quite like it. Like, the Switch is nice, don't get me wrong, but I just kind of like having the luxury of having like a PlayStation in my hand, like a little mini baby PSP. PlayStation Portable. Which to me is so sad that the Vita didn't do so good. I wanted a Vita. But like, I just never could get enough money at that point to get a Vita. And it was always relatively, you know, Nintendo with me. Which is why, you know, I got the DS and the like. Right? It was so that, like, it was so I could play, you know, third portable. With my pals. Yes. No? Otherwise, who knows? I probably would have had a Vita, and then I don't even know what games I would have played. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, probably. Maybe. I love that game too, but like, I just don't have the time or the patience to learn all the really nifty combos that I should be using. And either way, like, going online isn't fun, and my friends, I only have like one friend that plays it, and you know, I still can't beat him in there, even with like all the characters that I like to play. I still don't really know who I want to pick up for that game. Like, I know I like Tron, I know that I like frickin' Taskmaster, but I think that they kind of conflict roles. Either way. Now, Puke, right here, right? He's kind of a weird one. He's ugly, and yet he's kind of compelling all at the same time to me. I don't know what it is about Puke that is kind of like that ugly but somewhat cute. Like, I don't know. He's weird. He's weird. Still ugly, don't get me wrong. Just, you know, a little bit more on the cute side of ugly. And see, like right there is what I was talking about, where you should bump, and then hit into the monster. That way you can, you know, do all of this, you know, jazz that's going on right here. In which the Shatton is just like, screw him and Wyvern riding him. He's just, all of his moves have so much wind up. It was just really hard to freaking get anything in with him. Like, oh my goodness gravy. And honestly, like, I'm also thinking about it, like, why is Puke like harder here than, you know, in like World, right? And this kind of goes back to what I probably said when I was fighting the Dynamo Hermitar, because I already fought Dynamo, but like basically, you know, I'll make it like short. This is, you know, a Puke from a different region, which probably could be a little bit more aggressive, and that's why it's a little bit more dangerous. Of course, I could be totally wrong about that too. But I think it's like a nice little thought process on why certain monsters are lower in certain ranks in other games and are higher in other games. Like, you know, for instance, right? Barrioth. Barrioth is relatively like a low, high rank monster in some games, I think. If not low, it's mid. But in certain games, he's like much, much higher. Like I think in World, he was like ridiculously high. I think that has to do with like, you know, the environment. Maybe. I don't know. Jazz, like the sweet dulcet tunes we're listening to now. And here's like the problem with high rank, right? This mother effer right here. Now, even on the Switch, even right now, This mother effer is so difficult. He is so difficult that he kills me way too often. Okay? And that just kind of shows like a little bit of a difficulty curve right here. Mizusune has always been a problem, but like I feel like here is like where Mizusune really pushes you to be a better hunter. I already died prior to this, mind you. Just so you guys know, I've already died prior to this. I didn't have anybody to like come and back me up. I totally botched it and whatnot. Either way, I tried, but like my armor was just too underdeveloped, too weak, and I just could not survive. It was honestly very difficult and a little bit frustrating. But either way, like, God, Mizusune is always like a nice fight. I like how slippery it is. I feel like it should make use of its bubbles a little bit like more often for like movement. But this is also like one of the times where I kind of was getting frustrated with multiplayer, if my memory serves me correct. Because I fought Mizusune for quite some time. It may not look that long to you guys. That's because like everything is sped up by 300%. So, you know, it looks like everything is happening very shortly, but it's not. It's honestly not. So, I was fighting Mizusune for quite some time by myself, doing fairly okay. And I think it's the heavy bowgun user. Like the heavy bowgun user, or is it a light bowgun user? It's probably a light because I just seen it like do the little like, you know, turn away type deal. It's hard for me to see the symbols from where I'm at. I would like to make this longer, but then like I don't want the video to start lagging. I can't remember if the light bowgun died twice, or if it was, you know, the light bowgun and then somebody else. Well, there they go. Either way, like, I was getting a little upset. I fought this monster for like a good chunk of time, and then these people come in and they die like twice. You know, where I could have probably hunted the monster and been fine by myself. Would have taken longer. Don't get me wrong. Probably would have taken longer. But I would have been probably fine. Maybe. And if I died, it would have been my own fault. But, you know, when people die twice and, you know, all that work that you did by yourself gets there's the second death. And I'm just like, you know what? F it. I'm just doing it. I was like, oh, maybe I can kill it. No. Not pulling shenanigans. That's kind of where I found the frustration in multiplayer for this game. So up next is Nargacuga, in which I'm only showing you the very first Nargacuga. I had 3 recordings of fighting this guy so I can get the Narga hammer. Why do I do this to myself? Like, you know, hindsight being 2020, I'm here now and I'm just thinking to myself, I didn't need to farm all that. All I really needed to do was maybe hunt like 1 or 2 Anjanaths, get like a good chunk of their stuff, maybe like try to get the Vespio jazz that maybe I needed, which I think I could have at some point, and then just kind of, you know, had everything, kept the hammer I'm using, and, you know, be in a good place for like late game until I get the Tigrex hammer. You know, that's what, like, I should have done. I shouldn't have hunted the freaking Nargakerga for a hammer. I'm just going to, like, use for, like, the next couple of fights and then be done with it. I should have just continued going. Should have just kind of continued going and not even worry about it. But here I am. I think I got done through, like, 5 or 7 Nargakerga. Maybe more. Just to get a medulla. I think it was a medulla. Screw Nargakerga gatekeeping medulla. By the way, he's done, and now we're at my boy, Angie. Lovely. God, look at Anjanath. I don't know what it is about Anjanath. Probably just for the fact that, like, it's more dinosaur than draconic. That gets me. Either way, I just appreciate him so much. I appreciate him, and that's all that needs to be said, I feel. Got your nose bone! Man. And then, do we even have duck? No, we have eagle still. We just have eagle. We won't have duck for a while. But still, like, Monster Hunter is always kind of like, it's, God, how do I say this, right? It's a very familiar place to me. And, you know, the grinding is always like, it gives you something to do. But very rarely do I get to play with other people, right? Because I don't play this game so that I can play with people. I play this so I can have a one-on-one time with a monster, right? I want to have one-on-one fights with these monsters. Doesn't give me the fastest result, no, but it also gives me, like, hey, you know, the reason I died was because, you know, of my own, you know, wrongdoings instead of, like, somebody else coming in and freaking getting killed on their own, you know? Like, it's that's how I feel about playing Monster Hunter with this game, right? Playing with or without other people. And, like, you know, I don't know. I still don't know if I like playing with other people. Like, I get that it goes faster. I hate the flinching. I hate the fact that people still, for whatever reason, can't comprehend. Go somewhere else when there's a hammer user. Or a hunting horn. Don't be in the face. The only reason they're at that face is to maximize their damage. But, like, you know what would definitely maximize damage? Is if the hammer or hunting horn user freaking, like, gets a knockdown. That's free damage. You can do all the freaking maximum damage combos you want after that fact. But nope! I am going to attack the head because the head deals the most damage! That's what I don't like about this game. Is having to interact with people like that. I think that there was, like, someone here. There was somebody that, like, I remember playing with that I just launched them at the end because they kept, like, freaking hitting me. And that was quick. That was a quick death on my account with Zinogre. Like, Zinogre, I've always had a problem with Zinogre. I don't know what it is. He's my favorite boy. He's my boy. And yet, I can never fight him very effectively. I don't know what it is about Zinogre. I love him to death. I love my boy to death. But I just can't seem to fight him very effectively. I always end up dying against this fool, no matter what. No matter what! I think that just goes to show how much of a good fight he is. I think that's what it shows. He's a good fight. He's a good, solid fight where you don't necessarily, like, no matter how good you could technically be, like, I'm pretty sure Team Darkside could definitely give Zinogre a freaking run for their money. Let's face it, they play the game way too goddamn much. I love Team Darkside, or Dark whatever the heck they're called. I think that they're really cool. The fact that they can make a monster look so trivial. But there's also, like, the idea, right, that they don't show every single clip that they basically do. Like, they don't show you everything, like, all the times they failed, all the times something went wrong. You know, it always could be that one time they got everything right. Either way, all you really need to do is see that one time. That one time that things go right. And be like, dude, that was amazing. I wish I could be like this. Because let's face it, you know, monsters are always going to be difficult. Zinogre, always going to be my favorite. No one trumps Zinogre in my book. Like, there are a lot of cool Monster Hunter designs. There are a lot of cool Monster Hunter designs, a lot of cool Monster Hunter fights. But Zinogre will always be my favorite. Don't know if it's because of Doggo. I don't know the entire reason for it. All I know, I like Zinogre. And now we're at Ibushi, where, God, I will say that I'm not a big fan of the Rampages. Rampages are, I'm gonna assume, a little bit easier. At least I'm gonna assume they're easy. I don't participate in them too often. If I do, it's not really for, like, anything special. And I also, like, booted up, like, you know, people to come and help me with this one. Nobody was looking for it. I did this all on my own. I kind of wonder what, like, freaking the Rampage quest would be like with other people. However, no one plays this gosh dang creds. And especially, like, now, the simple fact that, Rampages are no longer going to be a thing, I don't think. I don't think they're gonna be a thing. Either way, like, no, it's just like a one and done type deal. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I typically, I would feel like if I'm a game developer, I'd want something that would last a little bit longer than Rampage, you know? Like, last the entirety of the, you know, game's life, even throughout the next expansion at the least. But I guess with, like, Ibushi and Arwa freaking, you know, going away, the Rampage settles down and there's no real reason to keep the Rampage going, right? However, I still feel like my theory for freaking what's going on in Sunbreak, which I say in the Sunbreak video, wait for that, that's coming out soon. You know, I just definitely feel like, you know, that's jazz that, you know, could definitely make the Rampage still happen. No, it's not like they had to stop making the Rampage. I don't even know if the Rampage is still around. I could have sworn that, like, somewhere they said that the Rampage wasn't going to happen anymore. So I don't know if that's just my memory failing or not. Now we're at Barrioth, which absolutely hate the fact that Barrioth and Barrioth sound way too close to each other. They're completely different monsters. Now, the thing that I like about freaking Barrioth and Tigrex is the simple fact that if you damage their claws, they will slip and slide a little. Which is why you should technically somewhat target their little front paws and the like, so that it gives more opportunity for like a couple more attacks. I just appreciate that that fact is still there, you know? Like, they could have easily have just gotten rid of that, or like made that not a thing, and now I have a double sleep here. Oh, or my monster of choice that I'm trying to battle, and then blam! I finally got that down. I still can't get the spacing for that. Such a weird attack. Either way, Barrioth's a nice, simple fight. Like, it's a little straightforward. There's not a lot of BS to it. But see, like, this is also like one of those situations where I think that I have the open availability for people to join in, and yet nobody's joined in, and it's already been a little while. Like, it's been quite some time. Like, looking at it, it's been roughly about half of the thing, and somebody has just joined. Like, that's crazy. Like, I get that that you're only going to be put with people who are wanting to join your mission, but like, man, it's rough, buddy. Definitely rough. Especially like if you put so much time and effort into like one monster and then like you die. Definitely not a good feeling. Definitely not a good feeling. You can see that he's like trying to like move around and he's starting to kind of slip and fall. And that's just because I broke the one claw. I love that. I think that's really cool. It's a nice little attention to detail that I feel like a lot of other games would probably not even like do something for. Like, there are a lot of like nice little things that freaking are in Metal Gear Solid, right? Like, a lot of the games have these little niche things that are very small and minute and go under the radar. But like, for people who find them, holy jeez, those things are cool. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, freaking Snake's eyes will actually develop in the amount of time that it would take a normal person's vision to develop in darkness. To actually like see in the dark, which I think is cool. I think in like Metal Gear Solid 2, there are these ice cubes that you can spill and they melt in real time. So, little things like that I absolutely like, and you know, I think that it's really cool. So, you know, I appreciate that, and I hope that, you know, if I ever do end up making that game that I so talk about and whatnot, and draw so many of my characters for, that, you know, I put minute stuff in there like that. It'd be nice. And now here's one of the fights that I think I had the most psychotic fun in. When I mean psychotic, I mean psychotic! Like, I lost my freaking crud fighting Rathalos. I don't remember if it was in low rank or if it was in high rank, but I lost my freaking mind. And it's kind of a shame that, like, I have so much commentary in some of these where I just kind of forget that I'm, you know, just doing these videos and trying to, like, get them out, that I kind of start falling back on my commentary. And then I have all this nice commentary that gets unused, and I'm just like, god dang. That makes me so sad. None of this is gonna get used. Rathalos, I will say, is a difficult yet fun fight for Hammer. I don't know what it is, but like, I had fun. I want to say that like I realized it in like low rank. Because I feel like I didn't really like have people. I feel like I didn't have other people when I was going through this psychotic map. I also want to say that this is like the Rathalos that we just absolutely bully to hell. Like, Pitfall, like, we just trap it and we just wail on the poor guy. Like, I see it, we trap him again, I'm just like, oh, well, you know what, fine. I'll just put mine down and we'll just freaking continue to wail on the poor thing. We won't even capture it. No, we just kill it. We bully it to all hell, and then we kill him. He's dead, Jim. Or at least he will be. It was like, God, that was just so mean, and I wish I had more traps on me. Which is why I typically like to take like double traps. But, you know, you can't always do the jazz that you are always looking for. You know, it gave us no choice. We had to bully it hard. It had to learn its place. Okay, but now we're kind of in the like final section of what it is we need to do in high rank. And now we're fighting Rakikadaki. However you say her name. One of the better monsters in this game, like, no doubt. But probably one of the worst monsters for Hammer in general. And the reason I say that is primarily because Hammer wants to specifically be, you know, fighting the head. And you can probably already tell that I have the freaking Sunbreak DLC already going, so this is where we kind of failed. Actually, could I have been wearing this when I was playing with Rathalos? I don't recall. However, as you can see, that now we have it, and we're playing with another Palico called Duck. Everything is Duck's fault. No matter what it is, no matter who it is, if it happens, it's Duck's fault. Main reason why the vending machine in my favorite stream is freaking broken. I just want a drink. Okay, I'm back. It's all good. Either way, why is Rakikadaki kind of bad for Hammer, I feel? Well, we want to be hitting that head. But guess what that head is? It's right there, and you can see it's elongated, but where'd the head go, right? Well, like you can see, the head is being guarded by two mandibles. Two mandibles, I might add, where, yeah, you bounce. Or you hit them and they do a lot of damage. You would have to break those mandibles. And this was also another one of those instances where I didn't send the freaking request out, I think. I think I did this one entirely solo, if I recall. Overall, the main thing is hit the white portions and just hope and pray to good golly gosh that like you can deal a lot of damage. Otherwise, like, and even then, like when the white webbing comes off, I don't think that we're doing like all too much damage regardless. It's not entirely a good freaking fight either. It hurts. Like, this one really hurts. I got hit there because of Duck drinking. That's what happened. So, Honestly, I said that I would keep a counter, and I don't think I've ever seen Raki-Kadaki do that before. My entire time playing this game, I do not believe I've ever seen her do that. Anyways, I said that I would have a counter, but honestly, that would be too much work, and I don't fully know how much she relatively, does bad stuff too, so I'm just not going to deal with it, right? I'll just mention it, but like, I won't keep a counter on it. That's too much. If the game was moving like at regular speed, maybe I could pick up on it more often, but I ain't about to like sit here and watch all the little things that poor little duck could be doing to screw me over. That's not what I'm going to do. Either way, yeah, the fight is just kind of trying to dodge, get out of that, and make sure I just don't die any more than I already have. Luckily, we got water. I can get rid of the fire blight fast, but honestly, like, I don't personally think that this fight is very fun for Hammer. Like, if it was like anything else, maybe, but I'm taking it over to Somnicanth so that I can at least get some major damage on it. Seeing as how I'm by myself, I need all the damage I can get. So I'm gonna make sure I do all the damage that I can possibly get. Oh boy. Like, honestly, like, she has a lot of, like, interesting, like, bits about what her folklore could be, right? And like, that's, like, the interesting part. Like, that's the interesting part to me, right? If a monster is based off of something, what is that something's folklore? And I want to say that, like, Gaijin Goomba did a video on Raki-Kadaki at one point. Folklore and whatnot. So, like, folklore inspiration. I would say if you want to learn more about, like, what Raki-Kadaki is based off of, I'd say go and give that a quick watch. Honestly, a really good video. Half the stuff, I feel like a good chunk of the stuff I didn't even know. Either way, like, oh, we're in that room with the giant skeleton. Can't remember what that skeleton is even. It's supposed to be based off of something. Something big, I think. Oh well, can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, nothing beats this Rotten Vale. That entire place is supposed to be like a skeleton graveyard. The body of, like, one of the longest freaking monsters in the entire game, I think. If my memory serves me correct on that one, too. But yeah, as you can probably see, I'm moving around, I'm trying to hit the legs. Fire's coming out, it comes out at any and every angle. Like, and I can't get KOs or anything, because I can't necessarily focus on the head. Because the head is, in a very place that I can't get to. And it was just take me so long to try to, break through those little mandibles that I can't necessarily do it. At least not with a reasonable amount of time. So I have to resort to just overall fighting this monster. It's not fun. Raki-Kadaki is not fun with a hammer. I will say that now. And now that I'm thinking about it, like, my mind is being drawn to the volcano area. And, which volcano area I like the most. And honestly, like the one that I think of is the one where you kind of start off at the technical highest point, you drop down, then you immediately get to the lava, but you can either go to the side or drop down. Then from that side point, you can go off to another side to get to the exact same area. Then there's another lower portion, or you can climb up higher, or like you can just go up like a little bit of a ramp. You know, a lot of like cool things about that volcano area. Like overall, very nice. I love that one. But now we're fighting Tigrex. Yeah, Tigrex is also like one of those ones that I hold really near and dear to my heart from Freedom Unite, right? Like he was the monster that you first met in the game. No if and or buts about it. As you are making your way to Poke Village, Tigrex ambushes you and pushes you off the mountain, where you are rescued and saved by the Poke Elders. So, the Poke Elders? No, the Poke only has like one Elder as far as I'm aware. The Poke Citizens. Either way, very memorable, and, you know, there's even a quest where you're supposed to, like, get Popo Tongues. And, you know, when you go up to get the Popo Tongues, because, for whatever reason, like, they're not where they're initially supposed to be, you just kind of think it's supposed to be, like, a nice, easy quest. So, you go and you're just like, where are all the Popos? And so you go and you go all the way up to the very tippity top, and all the Popos are there. But then guess who else is there? Yes, it's freaking Tigrex. Oh my lord. And, you know, Tigrex, he's a problem in the older games, especially like Freedom Unite. You know, he has a lot of mobility. He has throwables. He's just overall a bad time in Freedom Unite. And then add the fact that he gets even faster when he's angry, and he's just a menace. An absolute menace. Good grief, I would never want to, like, I wouldn't mind playing freaking, you know, Freedom Unite, but fighting Tigrex is one thing. I mean, then again, fighting Kushala is also another thing. I'd say that, like, Kushala and Tigrex are probably the worst fights that I had in my game. Yeah. Well, either way, I still really love Tigrex. I think that he's so cool. He's so much more manageable now. Hell, even when they put him in, like, 3 or 4, like, I noticed that he was, like, a lot easier. Like, still, you know, somewhat difficult, but just, like, fairly easier. Now, I want to say that at this point, right? At this point, I just needed to, you know, hunt one more Tigrex. And basically, that would give me enough to most likely give me my hammer. Now, we just had 2 fates. Now, I want you to take notice of Mr. Yellow Man's health. Like the yellow person right there. And I ask, can you heal? I'm pretty sure that's what I asked. Can you heal? We're already 2 feints in, and like now I feel like I have to carry by flash bombing and, you know, this and that. And so I even go as far as to buy life powder. Because, like, this guy, he's not healing, and I don't want to take that risk. I honestly really don't if I have to. So I just basically use all the life powder I can in situations I feel like we absolutely need it. And I try, you know, helping out, wailing on things, trying to be, you know, a good support that I can. And yeah, it's all because of the yellow guy. But there is one moment where I failed to notice that he was dead. Either way, after the fight, turns out that my cat stole enough material so I could make the hammer. That was very upsetting too, mind you, but like once I found out that I could make enough to make the hammer, everything was good. Tigrex hammer, and I didn't realize that there was turf wars. I don't even remember if this is like a Rise thing or if this is a Sunbreak thing, to be perfectly honest. I don't recall there being turf wars in this game. I think that kind of goes to show just how often I've been playing this game. I want to say, yeah, no, I think there actually have been turf wars. Anyways. But see, that just kind of goes to show you how, you know, aggravating it is to like do all this work and then for people to die and then like kaput, it's done, it's over, like you failed. It sucks. And here's another person who doesn't exactly know what they're doing with the wyvern riding. Either way, like, it is what it is, and you can't necessarily change that. And it's bound to happen. You can't. You're most likely not going to win all of them. Sometimes you might just get unlucky. Maybe it's just not your day. You know, you got to take everything that you can, and you just got to make sure that, you know, you live it to its, you know, best. You shouldn't dwell on things like, oh, you know, this person like died and ruined my entire thing. It was still fun getting up to that point. You know, like that's the main deal. It was fun. Just because one person dies a lot or costs you the match. Like if I didn't die, no, we would still have one more feint there to continue. So, you know, I'm just as much to blame as anyone else who died there. But, like, for that guy to freaking, like, not heal against a Tigrex after he's been put down to, I think it's called Feline Moxie? I don't particularly like that. Like, I don't appreciate it. And then here's like a weird thing where I'm trying to follow this goddamn Rajang and I'm just like, where the frick did he go? And I'm just like, how did they get here already? Like, jeez. Like, this map is weird. Ugh. But, yeah, okay, we're fighting Rajang. Don't know if I said anything about Rajang. I want to say that I haven't fought a Rajang in Freedom Unite. I think he's like post-Big Crab or something. But I'm honestly, like, really sad with what they did with Rajang in this game. Like, I liked how menacing he looked in World, don't get me wrong. Like, he looks so menacing, and in here, he just kind of looks... Well, he just looks like regular Rajang. I'm gonna just say it like that. He just looks regular Rajang-like. Which is fine. But, like, all of his attacks are very, like after, like, he throws out an attack, he's freaking, you know, he has, like, long cooldowns and whatnot. Overall, he's just a weaker version of World, and, you know, I can always understand that. But here's a funny thing, right? So, there's Diablos, and he notices us, and he just starts throwing rocks at us. I accidentally fall down. I was trying to, like, wait for, like, some of the other people, but, And there he gets stuck on the rocks, and No, I lay a trap for later. I'm just waiting for him to fall in there so I can beat the crud out of his horns. And now he Angie. But Diablos is definitely one of those ones where, you know, if you know that the running is coming, you can definitely get that, you know, parry, you know, very easily. But Diablos also has like a bunch of like pretty like fast moves. Not a good idea to just throw it out. Dude, I need to like get back into chilling with like Minecraft. Like, for me, Minecraft is a nice chilling game. I just like to build. And anytime I listen to these types of songs, it just reminds me of my time streaming Minecraft. Anyway. Diablos is... Well, Diablos is Diablos. Always a problem, but... I don't know. Like... The original moveset, I think, is Monoblos's. I think it was Monoblos first and foremost before Diablos. Either way, Diablos is just kind of the standard run at you and charge and maybe throw a projectile at you. It's very Tigrex. It's technically Tigrex with the exception that Diablos can dig and will surprise you like that, while Tigrex is just going to surprise you with how fast he is and how tenacious he can be. Basically, two of the same monsters, just different designs and different, you know, overall fighting styles. No, interesting that I noticed that watching this. Either way, still not a bad fight. I don't really remember Diablos too much in like Freedom Unite either. I don't even remember Monoblos too much, if Monoblos was even in that game. Of course, like, it's been so long since I played the game. Like, of course I remember some things, but not a lot of the others, you know? I'm trying to think of, like, what I can remember. Like, that was, like, very memorable. But, like, honestly, I just can't think of too much from that game. It's been so long. It's been so long. Yeah, I just can't. Either way, it's just kind of good to chill and whatnot. I know I'm talking your ear off, and I hope that, like, it's not too much, right? Like, I want to be, like, nice and chill, but, like, I also want to, like, kind of, you know, get excited. We're pretty much here. Like, I can pretty much play more freaking Sunbreak than I already have. You know, the jazz. I've been looking to really get into it and whatnot. Like, I legitimately can't wait. I want to see what they surprise me with. I want to see what I don't know. I want to see how the new people fight. I want to see all the new moves that they give other people. Freaking Almudron's finally here to freaking show us, like, why I think he's honestly the best. You know, all this mud, you gotta get over it somehow. You gotta get through it somehow. You know, God, I cannot say enough on how much I freaking love Almudron being a part of this game. This is definitely their most creative monster whose mechanics complement this game, I feel, the most. I can't wait to see how the lava version actually deals with this. Like that, I'm definitely looking forward to. I think it's also one of the only, like, monsters with, like, a dot that isn't poison. Or heavy poison. Or toxic poison. Whatever the hell it's called. I want to say that that's, like... Yeah. I don't think that there's anyone else kind of like Almudron. He's a... Think about it, right? He's a monster that can create terrain. He's a monster with damage over time that isn't a poison. You know, actually, there is one monster that is damage over time. That's Teostra. Either way, still like a really unique take on it. And like the simple fact that like he encourages movement, like whether or not it's just to get around them or like go over them or like to use the jazz that he makes in order to get over them. Just overall, a beautiful fight nonetheless. I do think that like he is the highest, like I put him the highest of, you know, this game's creation, I feel. And I think that that's what they should be doing more towards the, you know, new releases of their games, right? They should find out how they want, like, you know, the game to be played, like the new special mechanic. Like World was the freaking clutch claw jazz, right? That was Iceborne and whatnot. The freaking shenanigans that they do, right? Well, in this one, it's the little bug launcher, the Kinsex, right? I feel like they should take note of what it is that they want to do first and foremost, and then build their monsters around that. Like I said, there are a couple of things here and there that like some monsters do to kind of encourage that. But Almudron thinks kind of outside the box. And I know that not everyone should be able to make freaking, you know, terrain. But like, how cool would it be if somebody just like cracked the floor in half, dividing you and, you know, the world technically, and you basically, you know, can like run along, hop, skip, jump, you know, and, you know, dodge attacks while you're, you know, trying to like fight this monster. It'd be cool. Or like a monster that can like, it'd be kind of cool if like Almudron could make a labyrinth or something and you have to get over it, but like all the while freaking like little tiny you know, those wave things kind of like go through them and you have to, you know, get over it or something. Like something like that would be cool. Maybe it's not even something that Almudron has to create. Maybe you have to fight him in the labyrinth. Disappears every so often. That labyrinth could have like giant like holes in the floor, but walls you can, you know, walk through, and, you know, shenanigans. Like there's so much shenanigans you could do. I get that Monster Hunter isn't like, you know, more of an action game than it is a monster hunting simulator. But still, there's just so... Gosserog! His name is Gosserog! You guys are probably like, whoa, okay, yes, that's Gosserog. What the frick are you talking? Remember how I said earlier? You probably don't. Like, I said that. I want to say, like, somewhere near, like, Aknasam or something. Which was way early into this video. How like there's like the big ice bear dude and he like changes up his fighting style in like high rank versus low rank. Well, this is him. It's Gosserog. Looking at him, I can remember his name, but if I had to think of his name, like, off the top of my head, I would definitely fail 10 out of 10 times. But I do think that Gosserog is definitely one of my more favorite monsters. Like, the fact that he's, like, so up, up top, at the top, and all he is the bear, and you can see right here, he has a sword and a club. Low rank don't do that. It just makes a sword. Single sword, like. And that's so freaking cool. And I don't know if he does the beam at low rank either. I want to say that he does it. But see, that's like why it's so freaking cool. Why I love it so much. That's why I'm so excited for Master Rank. Still, like, God, like the fact that Gosserog is just up here, right? There's only like one other like bear monster that is this far, in this like rating bracket, right? But right now he has 2 swords because we got him down low enough. Look at it. And the other one is, I think it's like Dreadclaw or Dreadnought Azuros. It was just like, huh? Azuros? Huh? That's funny. You think Azuros could be anything? Gets freaking one shot by Dreadclaw Azuros. He's crazy. I love him. But like, I feel that, Gosserog, especially in high rank, is just overall a decent fun fight. I just think he's that good. And I would like it if, like, less things that were like dragons and wyverns would be high rank. I like that, like, or a higher rank in the ranking that they're at. Gosserog was, high ranking in a low rank, but here he is, a high rank in a high rank. That's basically what we mean. Now, towards the end, we're now at Narwa. And yes, I did say the end. And you might be a little bit confused about that. And the reason that you might be confused, you still got Kushala, you still got Heostra, you still got Camilios, you got all these other Elder Dragons, and then the Allmother. And it's like, yeah, I kind of thought that too. But I guess that all you have to do is beat Narwa, and then you get access to freaking Sunbreak. I ain't complaining. To be perfectly honest, like, I can't imagine freaking, I honestly cannot imagine, cannot fathom how to fight the All-Mother Narwa with nothing but a hammer. I have so much trouble just trying to fight that thing with a freaking swax. You want me to go up against it with a freaking hammer? Oh, we're crazy. However, if you guys want, and you made it this far, you want me to fight the All-Mother Narwa with nothing but a hammer, go ahead and leave a comment down below saying you want that. You can even comment whether or not you want me to solo it, or whether or not you want me to do it with people. Either way, leave a comment. Like, subscribe. I made it this far in, like, 3 days. 3 days, I practically did all this. Holy jeez. And honestly, like, this is a hard fight. And as you can already see, somebody's already fainted. And honestly, like, I was like, okay, somebody already fainted. This is a hard fight. We can honestly lose this at any point. Still a little bit frustrating, don't get me wrong. Like, it's frustrating that I was battling this lass for quite some time. The fact that somebody came in and practically died, right? I'm trying to do this, but I lose sight of her, and I don't want to just, like, throw out the wyvern cannon thing without seeing her, but, like, everyone's just kind of congregating, like, towards this wall. I'm just like, I don't want to, like, be the one to waste this. Like, oh, maybe I can see her now. No, I can't. I'm just going to have to beat the absolute crud out of her hand. God forbid. Either way. Ooh, there we go. Lovely. Mwah. I honestly think that should have been saved for, like, something else. However, hindsight be danged. Almost actually said the accurate word. Where all the beavers live, you know? But, man, Narwa is definitely, like, a difficult fight, regardless of whether or not, like, all mother or regular. Like, I absolutely hate doing this. Like, without a light bow gun. And then here we go, another death. I would have been the next death. I didn't realize that we were supposed to get under that. Until, like, I started seeing it, and I was like, oh, dang. But at this point, I'm a little frustrated. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. We are only, like, we're only at one more death. And the person was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh man, they're sorry. It's not really their fault. And so I'm like, it's okay. You're fine. And, like, you know, it's so sad that somebody said they're sorry. Because I'm getting frustrated. And, like, that's kind of like the one way that I will say that I calm down after people tell me they're sorry, depending. But I do end up kind of playing a little bit like the support in this one. And I do end up, you know, kind of flashing Narwa just in case anything could particularly happen. So I do play a little bit more supporty than I normally do. And that's just so that we don't freaking lose this. Because it would suck if the person dies again after the fact that they're sorry. I would hate for that to kind of, like, be the way that we go out. So I try my utmost best to keep everyone alive, be it, like, you know, freaking blinding her. But with that, we finally did it. And it's off till sun breaks. See you then, guys.